Why the government wants one nation, one election. What are the challenges and the issues about one nation, one election, whether it is possible, whether it is desirable. 60,000 crores was spent in the Lok Sabha elections by all the parties put together with the present central government after it lost the Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh and Rajasthan elections in 2018 December. Hi friends, welcome. Recently, the Prime Minister talked about one nation, one election. And even in 2019, there was an all-party meeting which was held to discuss this prospect of one nation, one election. So in this video, we'll try and understand why the government wants one nation, one election. What are the challenges and the issues about one nation, one election, whether it is possible, whether it is desirable, and what can be the possible solution. So, in 2019, when the Lok Sabha elections happened, there were only 4 state elections which happened along with the parliamentary election, and this has been the trend since 2004. But before that, if you go back to the 1950s and 1960s, when the first general elections, first to fourth general elections happened, almost all the states elections happened along with the Lok Sabha elections only. Now, because of this break in cycle, there are some problems, which is why the government of India and the present Prime Minister and the ruling party wants to bring back simultaneous elections. Now let us see what are the problems because of conducting various elections. Now firstly, there is something called as Model Code of Conduct. Now this is something which the government, central government has to follow even if there is a state election. So every year on an average we have 4 or 5 state elections. For example, in 2019, within 6 months of the parliamentary election, we had elections to Maharashtra, Jharkhand, Haryana. In 2020, we had the Bihar election. In 2021, we will have Tamil Nadu, West Bengal, Assam, Kerala. Like this, every year, there are various elections. And whenever an election is announced, from the day the election is announced, till the day the results are announced, which is easily around 60 days at least. And if there are many phases of elections, it can go up to even 75 days. So the central government cannot announce any new scheme or any new project during this period which can affect the functioning of the central government. So that is one problem with multiple elections. Secondly, there is a huge government expenditure, right? So for conducting the Lok Sabha elections, it cost in 2019 the government almost 9,000 crores. And imagine every state elections which are conducted, though the state governments will be bearing the expenditure of that election, but still for the overall country as a whole, for the government, either central government or state governments, it is a huge expenditure. So if elections are held together, then you go to the polling booth, you will press 2 EVMs and come out rather than pressing only 1 EVM. So that way the election expenditure for the government can be reduced. Thirdly, the expenditure by political parties. There are reports by very respected NGOs which have said that 60,000 crores was spent in the Lok Sabha elections by all the parties put together, with a majority of it being spent, almost 50% being spent by the ruling party and all others spending the balance 50%. And every time a state elections happen also, a few thousand crores are spent by the parties and the candidates. And this also breeds corruption, obviously. So hopefully if the elections are held together, right, the expenditure on elections by the parties and candidates and probably the resultant corruption may come down. It's not a certainty, but that can also be a benefit of conducting simultaneous elections. But now having said this, first let us look at the possibility of simultaneous election from a constitutional angle. As I told you in the beginning, in 1952, when the first general elections happened, all the states and the Lok Sabha polls happened together. Same in 1957, same in 1962, same in 1967 almost. But it was after that that the cycle got broken. In 1970, Mrs. Indira Gandhi dissolved the Lok Sabha and called for an early election. But in 1977, when after emergency the Janata Party came to power, it could be there in power only for around 2 years. After that, there was no majority. So India is a parliamentary democracy where the ruling government has to have a majority in the Lok Sabha. Without that, you cannot continue in power. So there was a fresh election which was required immediately in 1980. In 1989, Mr. VP Singh became the Prime Minister, the Janata Dal, with the support of the Bharatiya Janata Party. But the Bharatiya Janata Party withdrew its support to Mr. VP Singh's government in 1990, and then Mr. Chandrasekhar was there for a few months, and then the Lok Sabha had to be dissolved and fresh elections had to be conducted. In 1996, the Lok Sabha could continue only for 1 year. In 1998, when the elections happened, Mr. Vajpayee's government, it fell after 13 months, and so fresh elections had to be called. So clearly, this is it's happened with all the parties, it's happened with all the governments. Same thing happens in the states where a coalition falls, and because of that, fresh elections had to be called, or because the constitution allows in a parliamentary democracy for the ruling government to call for an early election. Now recently, 2 years back in Telangana, Mr. KCR dissolved the assembly 6 months before its due date and conducted the assembly election in September 2018. Our Prime Minister, who was the Chief Minister of Gujarat in 2002, dissolved the Gujarat Assembly 1 year before its due date, and elections were held, because of which the cycle got broken. So clearly, this breaking of this cycle is because of instability in a parliamentary democracy when no party gets the majority, because of states wanting to advance the elections for various political reasons, but that is how the parliamentary democracy works. Of course, there have been instances in the past where Article 356 was misused, which is dismissing of a state government and imposing president's rule in a state, which necessitated elections, and it broke the cycle of elections. But in the last 25 years, ever since the SR Bommai judgment of the Supreme Court, such instances have largely come down, and there is no such misuse of Article 356. So, if for any of these reasons there is a fall in the government, then elections will be necessary. There is no doubt there are benefits from simultaneous elections. But constitutionally, without amending this provision, we cannot ensure that, even if one time we synchronize all the elections, it is not necessary that that same pattern will continue after few years, because all these things can happen in a parliamentary democracy. So constitutionally, it is not possible unless suitable amendments are brought about. Number one. Number two, let us look at it from the desirability point of view, whether it is desirable. See, India is a multicultural, multilinguistic country, and elections act as a feedback to the governments. During the process of elections, people take voter behavior as a feedback, and based on that they make certain policies. For example, even the present central government, after it lost the Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh and Rajasthan elections in 2018 December, introduced a scheme of 6,000 rupees for farmers per year in January 2019. That was a feedback based on the election results of these three states. Secondly, if the elections are held together, the national parties will have the might, will have the money power. The entire elections may happen in a national narrative, leaving out the individual state issues. The regional parties will be stifled out, which is not a good sign for democracy. And thirdly, voter behavior is influenced. There are reports which suggest that if the elections happen together, people vote for the same party irrespective of different issues. But if the elections happen even after 6 months or 1 year, people vote differently for Lok Sabha elections and people vote differently for assembly elections. And we have seen that happen even recently in assembly elections like the National Capital Territory of Delhi. So clearly the desirability is questionable, and more importantly, whether it is possible. Supposing if a government falls, then for the next round of elections, if it is going to happen only after 5 years, once in 5 years, if any government falls after 1 year, then what will happen for the balance 4 years? You cannot keep a state under president's rule. And if the central government, now we have a government which has a complete majority for itself, but there have been coalition governments for 30 years, starting from 1989 till 2014, for 25 years. Then if there is any fall in the central government because of problems in the coalition, then it cannot be said that we will have the next election only after 3 years or 2.5 years. Then the country cannot be governed without a council of ministers headed by the prime minister to advise the president. So the possibility constitutionally needs to be discussed. The desirability is also something which needs to be discussed even more. Now, but what is the solution? Now, there is Niti Aayog which has come up with an approach paper for this problem. So, they have said that there are advantages, but there are issues also, what we just discussed. So, one way of probably ensuring that you find a middle ground is to have 2 cycles of elections every 2.5 years. So, you have a parliamentary election, along with that 50% of the states can go to polls. Then after 2.5 years, the balance 50% of the states can go to polls. Then at least you will ensure that if there is any fall in the government in between, it can be clubbed with the immediately ensuing cycle. Now, this is also something which requires lot of debate and discussion, but it is at least something which is a middle ground when compared to one election once in 5 years. So, this 2.5 year cycle is something which can be discussed and debated in detail, but before that there are a list of electoral reforms which can easily be achieved, but which no governments are doing. First of all, there is something called as expenditure charged on the Consolidated Fund of India, where for independent authorities like judges, like Controller and Auditor General, all these people like Public Service Commissions, their expenditure, their salaries are charged on the Consolidated Fund and it has to be paid first. Whereas the Election Commission expenditure and the Election Commissioner's salaries are not charged on the Consolidated Fund of India. There is a difference between how the Chief Election Commissioner can be removed only by the Parliament, but the other 2 election commissioners do not enjoy that protection. Now, in fact, the Election Commission has already submitted a memorandum to the government stating that these are the reforms that are required to make us more independent. Now, there are a lot of contentious bills and acts which have been passed in the last 1.5 years in just a single day. In the morning it is introduced, in the evening it is passed in one house, the next day it is passed by the other house and it receives presidential assent, where there is lot of difference of opinion. But these are reforms which can have bipartisan support amongst political parties. So, all it requires is a constitutional amendment to bring these changes. There is so much of corruption and money power involved in elections. Strict penalties for that needs to be implemented by empowering the Election Commission more. There are so much of hate campaign. The Representation of People Act, section 123 says that seeking votes in the name of religion is a corrupt electoral practice and there are disqualifications associated with it. Bribing voters is a corrupt electoral practice and there are disqualifications associated with it. So, all these things need to be implemented first. That itself will be a very big electoral reform. And one nation, one election once every 5 years is neither possible nor desirable. But this 2.5 year cycle is something which can be discussed, debated, but even that will require probably some constitutional amendments if that cycle has to be maintained, but that is something which can be debated and discussed before even proceeding in that direction. So, I hope you found this useful. I will see you again with another video next week. Thank you.